Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
You got a couple of spare A-bombs in the garage, send them my way, and I'll use them to blast this weather system out of the eastern Pacific a little closer to us, because as long as it stays out there, and it's a slow mover, it leaves us under this ridge in the jet stream, and that means Sizzle City for us. That's what happened today. Over eastern Kansas, mostly high 80s and low 90s, although Salina hit 95 and Concordia hit 97. Wichita in with a relatively speaking moderate 89 degrees with Hutch topping out at 92. But I don't want to hear any whining from central and eastern Kansas about how hot it was. The folks out in western Kansas really got hit. Most of western Kansas over 100 today. Hit 101 in Russell, 102 in Hayes, 100 in Garden City and Dodge City, 101 in Guymon, Oklahoma. Garden City hit 100, and Liberal and Hill City 103. Now, not only was 103 the state hot spot, but it was also the nation's hot spot. So we had quite a distinction out in western Kansas today. Goodland started out at 55. Here in Wichita, a range of 65 to 89. The forecast from 10 last night, 61 and 91. Fairly close there. And what's a heat wave without having to sniffle your way through it? That's what I always say, and that's why we had trouble with the allergy watch today. Over 1,000 on the tree pollen. That's not good news. And here's some real bad news. Over 4,000 on the mold spores. Gigantic rises from yesterday. One thing that would knock these two categories back down where they belong would be some rain, but we're having a little bit of trouble in that department despite the presence of an upper air wave down here across New Mexico and West Texas. Looks pretty impressive here, and as a matter of fact, we did have severe weather over the southern part of the Texas Panhandle earlier this evening, but a lot of this has died down now that temperatures are cooling off. Some of the thunderstorms, mostly light to moderate down in there. We still have a few over southwest Kansas, but they're not as impressive as they look here. Let's go out to Garden City with the radar there. And what mostly we've got out here is ground clutter. When you take all the ground clutter away, only these few specks south of Garden City and over here in the eastern part of the Panhandle remain. Those are a few sprinkles, and they'll die off within the hour. And that will be it until tomorrow night for thunderstorms, when we stand another slight chance in western and central Kansas. We'll really have to wait till later in the week for the big stuff. In the meantime, temperatures have died down a little bit. 78 in Wichita, 81 in Hutch. Generally mid to upper 70s or around 80 across the metro area. That's the same story across central and eastern Kansas. Russell down to 83, thank goodness. Salina 82, Pratt at 82, along with Hutchinson. And across western Kansas, 70 in Colby, 73 at Hill City, dropped 30 degrees, 78 in Garden City, 83 in Liberal. However, at the airport, south winds are still blowing at around 16 miles per hour or so, gusting up to around 26. With those south to southwest winds blowing across the state, we're going to have a fairly warm night. That will set the stage for a fairly warm day tomorrow. We'll be south of these fronts in the warm air. We'll have warm winds continuing once again. And with sunshine tomorrow, it looks like another sizzling hot day. Thunder showers springing up across the Texas Panhandle. May move northeast into Kansas tomorrow night. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll have some high clouds, mainly partly cloudy skies. Temperatures dropping to the mid to upper 60s overnight for lows. Pretty warm, and then up to around low 80s by noon under mostly sunny skies. And tomorrow afternoon, sunny to partly cloudy, low to mid 90s for highs. Our next chance of thunderstorms is not a real good one. Will be tomorrow night. A better chance will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with temperatures, thank goodness, finally cooling off a little bit toward midweek. Marty?
Well, thank you, Dave. Christy Deer here, and speaking of summer, talking about
temperatures like 67 overnight, very mild, mostly clear skies, south winds about 12 to 22 miles per hour. Partly cloudy, though, in Salina with 69 degrees for your overnight low temperature, and south winds, once again, about 12 to 22 miles per hour, just in general. And then into the rest of the day tomorrow, you'll find mostly sunny skies here, partly cloudy in Salina. Chances of late afternoon thunderstorms. A lot of that heating is going to cause the thunderstorms to be scattered and isolated. No one area stands real good chances of receiving significant amounts of rain, but we will probably see thunderstorms popping up around many areas of Kansas. Here's the statewide forecast through tonight. Mostly clear skies just in general. Temperatures mild throughout the entire state. Tomorrow, temperatures topping out over 90, at least once again, just about statewide. And some thunderstorms are a possibility, I would say, especially in central Kansas. And, of course, our extended forecast. Cannot leave that out.
Cute how that works. I didn't see
we kind of like it, Julie.
I like that.
You know, this might be just a temporary kind of thing here, though.
Okay.
But while it's here, we'll enjoy it.
We're giving it a break.
Thanks for joining us. Nobody knows how many tornadoes hit northwest Kansas and southwest Nebraska tonight. There were dozens of sightings, but some of those may have been multiple sightings of the same tornado. The National Weather Service in Goodland, just before we came on the air, said at least eight, possibly more, have been confirmed. In Norton County, 2 were confirmed by weather spotters. In Phillips County, a dispatcher told me there had
in this area of the country, we had some record high temperatures and a whole slew of tornadoes. What else can you expect in April in Kansas? We'll get right to it right after this.
Dave Schaffer's weather presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, in Kansas, it was only 2 counties. That's Norton and Phillips County in northwest, north-central Kansas, and in Nebraska to the north, just 2 Nebraska counties, Furnace and Harlan counties. A small area, but Mother Nature really piled it on earlier this evening. We'll never know exactly how many tornadoes there were, but it appears a good count might be a dozen, with multiple sightings of other funnel clouds around the area. 1 tornado near Almena in Norton County, others north of Phillipsburg, quite a few north of Phillipsburg, and 1 tornado spotter called in a report of 3 on the ground simultaneously along the Kansas-Nebraska state line, right up here where Norton and Phillips County meet the state line. So it was really wild and woolly up there for a little while. The cause was this low-pressure system. Tornadoes love to form where low-pressure zones intersect, and we have one in the form of a low-pressure trough here, the other zone in the form of a front running this way. The intersection, right in the area where the tornadoes occurred, just kind of egg on the whole problem. We had a wind pattern around this low-pressure zone intersection that kind of encourages rotation, and when the temperatures reached their warmest and the air got the most unstablest, it just, Mother Nature just let it rip for a while. In the meantime, we still have some storms north of the Kansas state line now. Most of those thunderstorms north of the state line moving off to the east. Some of them still heavy, but no threat to any part of Kansas now or any part of our southwest Nebraska viewing area. The tornado watch that was in effect earlier for north central Kansas has been dropped. Now we have another batch of strong thunderstorms down here in the South Texas plains. A severe thunderstorm watch in effect earlier for that area has also been dropped. And these, although they look real menacing down here and are moving northeast, should die out before they get into the KAKE viewing area. So no severe weather for any of us later on tonight, but no rain either. We're going to have to wait until later in the week for that. In the meantime, mold spores mercifully went down by over 3,000 today. Tree pollen down by almost 700, so at least we got some good news there. But back to the bad news on the heat. Record high temperatures in the west, 90 at Goodland and 97 at Dodge City. In central Kansas, we had 3, 94 Concordia, 91 a record high at Wichita, and 97 a record high for the month of April in Kingman. And across central Kansas, we had mainly 90s with a few 80s off to the east. But look at that, 105 for a high in Salina today. That's insane for an April high temperature. There's no excuse for that kind of behavior, but we're stuck with it anyway. Out west, a little more moderate, mainly 90s, but pretty close to 100 in a few cases over southwestern Kansas. Across the state, a range from 54 to 105. In Wichita, 91 to 64. The forecast right in there at 90 and 65 degrees. Across the metro area, at 78. In Wichita, 80 at Hutch, mainly upper 70s, low 80s, with the exception of that 85 in Norwich. And across the rest of central and eastern Kansas, looks like we're in there much better this afternoon with 82 at Salina, down from 105, 82 at Pratt, 79 in Russell. Out to the west, 71 in Colby, 72 in Garden City, and 80 in Liberal. Winds out of the south now around 15 miles per hour will help keep us warm. Generally southerly winds across the state, although Goodland is reporting east. We're south of a front right now, and we'll stay south of those fronts tomorrow, so it looks like more warm weather with sunny to partly cloudy skies, more thunderstorms for West Texas. Could move our way tomorrow night, but no rain before then. Here's the forecast now for your local area. Overnight, we'll look for clear to partly cloudy skies down to the low to mid-60s for lows, but right back up to around 80 by noon tomorrow. Mostly sunny, and for tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy, up into the upper 80s to low 90s once again. Very warm. Thunderstorms.
Maybe we'll turn it on. It is awful early to be using the air conditioner.
It's terribly early. 105 at Salina yesterday. The hottest April temperature in the history of the state of Kansas. And we weren't far behind today as Hayes got up to 103, breaking their record by 12 degrees for today's date.
Shattering.
Shattering, yeah. It's in the old record's in little bitty bits. Let's take a look at our statistics. And here in Wichita, we had a high of 90 today, tying the record at Mid-Continent Airport, but McConnell got up to 91. Hutchinson reached 91. El Dorado 88. Salina 96. At Great Bend, the high was 98, Garden City 95, Dodge City 98, McCook 94, and across the area at 10 o'clock, this is the way temperatures looked: 77 at Oberlin, 76 at Garden City, still 80 at Great Bend, 81 in Salina. Here in Wichita at 10 o'clock, we had a cloudy sky, 79 degrees, the dew point 62, the humidity 56%, pressure 2976 and rising, a southwest wind at 18 miles an hour. Let's take one more look at those high temperatures today. 103 degrees being reported from Hayes, 101 in Russell, 100 at Beloit, 98, a record at Concordia. 98, also a record at Dodge City. 95 at Garden City. 89 at Goodland. 91 in Hutchinson and Medicine Lodge. And then 92 degrees being reported from Emporia. Satellite photograph from 3 o'clock this morning showed clouds across the southeast part of the state. The clouds moved in from the southwest, and watched the thunderstorms erupt in the Texas Panhandle, and some of those moved into Kansas. The bad news is those are weakening very rapidly. Let's take a look at our KSN radar, and you can see what's left of those thunderstorms is now between Kingman and about Protection. Now, there's still some moderate rain falling on the Oklahoma border to the southwest of Medicine Lodge. Medicine Lodge had a gust of 44 miles an hour a little earlier with the storms as they passed nearby. But I'm afraid that only the Oklahoma border counties of south central Kansas got any rain at all, and these are going to be dissipating during the next hour or two. Our weather map shows a Pacific satellite picture tonight, and there is a low pressure system moving onto the coast of California, and as this moves toward the east-southeast, our chances for rain will improve a little later in the week. Now tonight we have low pressure to our north and those scattered thunderstorms that will dissipate, but then with this dry line in the area strengthening tomorrow, we do look for thunderstorms to redevelop late tomorrow afternoon, and then as this next system comes in from the west, the chances for rain will improve at least a little bit. Highs tomorrow in the muggy 90s across most of the state. While I don't look for any hundreds tomorrow, humidities will be higher than today, so it will feel just as uncomfortable. 80s in northwest Kansas, some very chilly air with that low pressure system in the west. Highs over parts of California and Nevada tomorrow will only be in the 30s. Now for tonight, we look for partly cloudy to cloudy skies across Kansas. Those showers will have dissipated within the next hour. 51 degrees at Oberlin, 59 at Garden City. Hutchinson should see a low of 65. Then for tomorrow, there is a chance of thunderstorms redeveloping anywhere in the eastern half of the state late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. 85 at Oberlin, 92 at Dodge City, 91 for Hutchinson. Now for Wichita tonight, we're going to have mostly cloudy skies, warm and muggy with a low of 65. For tomorrow, it's going to be partly cloudy, very warm and humid with a high of 91. And for tomorrow night, there is a chance of an evening thunderstorm, partly cloudy late tomorrow night, 65 for a low. And we do look for scattered thunderstorms with the chances improving as the week progresses. Temperatures gradually going down into the mid-70s over the weekend, but that's still a few degrees above normal.
Now, Mike, I know you never make mistakes, but that has to be something from July.
Yeah, that does look like a July outlook.
Year.
Very depressing.
Oh.
Take it easy, okay, if you got outdoor activities. Now, we're going to leave in a chance, and I want to emphasize just a chance, for a few thunderstorms around Wednesday, Thursday, and early Friday, but the chances do improve by Thursday because we're going to have a cool front come in, and you can see the effect of that. Temperatures dropping back into the 70s by Saturday. So we got to put up with it a couple of more days, but then
maybe some rain in the forecast?
We're going to see what we can do to drive some rain into our lives. Looks like we've got two big chances this week. It's kind of we usually don't have two chances this week, kind of got a surplus, I guess. Good chance of rain coming up in the next couple of days, and then toward midweek, and some interesting temperatures as well. We'll check it all out right after this.
Presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, we won't have a storm this big and juicy to work with, but we do have our eyes on a smaller scale ripple up over the Idaho Panhandle. It should slide down along the jet stream our way tomorrow and give most of us a chance of thunderstorm activity. After that pushes back onto the east, we'll see the jets swing up to the north. That means back to dry weather around Wednesday or so and much warmer temperatures, but that won't last too long because we'll have another disturbance. This one a little bigger moving ashore. That will move into an area late Thursday and on Friday and give us an even better chance of thunder showers toward that period. A chance of severe weather as well with that rain, but I'll tell you what we won't have with it. We won't have what came down in Buffalo, New York today. Here's what it looked like in Buffalo. Yes, it was wintertime in Buffalo. Mother Nature forgot the calendar again. 5.5 inches of snow down on the ground in Buffalo, a record May snowfall there. Rochester, New York, a little farther east, had 9.5 inches. That's a record May snow total for Rochester as well. Now that storm is still raging over that part of the country. However, in the clear air behind the storm right now, we have lots of dry air right in here, so we had record lows all the way from the Great Lakes area as far south and as far east on our U.S. map as to Topeka, Kansas, where the temperature actually dropped down to 32 degrees this morning. We're not going to get anywhere close to the freezing point anywhere in the area tonight, though. Satellite picture locally shows one reason. Lots of high clouds coming in, and underneath the high clouds, the dew points are coming up. It's up to 59 degrees at the airport now, so the moisture, in addition to the clouds, will help hold the heat in, and so will those south winds at 13 miles per hour. In fact, over all of Kansas, except for the Goodland and Russell areas, we have south winds now, so it means a much, much warmer night tonight than what we had last night. And just to show you how warm it is, even at 10 o'clock across the metro area, Wichita still reporting 72, 76 at Hutch, 79 degrees in Newton, but mostly low 70s. Across the rest of central and eastern Kansas, we'll take a look at the temperatures there. Russell still above 70. Salina, no reporting at 10 o'clock, but Emporia at 68, Chanute at 65. Pratt, a warm spot at 77. Out west, 73 in Colby, 69 in Hill City, and mid-70s, including 77 at Liberal in the far southwest. Now, across Kansas today, we hit extremes this morning from 30 in Manhattan all the way up to 95 in Liberal. Quite a range in Wichita, too, from 84 to 40. The forecast from last night pretty close at 80 and 42. Allergy watch, bad news on the mold spores. Once again, they're way up there, but at least down some from yesterday. Pretty low on the grass and tree pollen as well. And we'll try with some thunderstorm activity to wash those out of the air tomorrow. This thunderstorm watch has been canceled, but we may have another one tomorrow due to this low pressure. Thunderstorms popping up along the fronts and around the low, sprinkles in northwest Kansas. Severe weather possible in this area tomorrow, but the severe weather area will drift farther south on Tuesday. Along with the weather system, we'll be back to sunny to partly cloudy skies with the thunderstorms off to the south on Tuesday. Remember, we still got that big storm on satellite out to the west, and as it drifts closer on Thursday and Friday, we'll have our second chance of thunderstorms this week. In the meantime, here's the forecast for your local area. Overnight for central Kansas, down to the upper 50s, low 60s with high clouds across the area. Tomorrow morning, more high clouds back up to the mid-70s by noon, and tomorrow afternoon we'll see upper 70s. Well, we've been hearing a lot about severe weather the past couple of days. Central Oklahoma and parts of North Texas have even had so much rain there have been flash flood warnings, but for most of us, this weekend has been quite dry, and that's because the big western storm system that might ruin this fellow's day in the next couple of days has been stuck out to the west. Weather quite peaceful across central and eastern Kansas, but out to the west we have a big storm system. On satellite picture, it's centered over Utah and the rest of the desert southwest. There was even snow at higher elevations around Flagstaff, Arizona today. Lots of thunderstorms throughout the west. Some of those thunderstorms getting far enough east to cause some concern over the western part of the Cake viewing area around western Kansas and the Panhandles. We do have some heavy and severe thunderstorms stretching from Texas all the way up through southwest Oklahoma into the Panhandles, and some more thunderstorm clouds over western Kansas right now. Let's go to radar out at Amarillo to check on these severe thunderstorms. We have one severe thunderstorm located right about over Texoma here, about 10 or 15 miles southwest of Guymon, Oklahoma. On the Texas-Oklahoma border, this one moving east-southeast at around 20 miles per hour. This is the same one that caused baseball to softball-sized hail, huge hail southwest of Boise City in Cimarron County. That's right about here after the storm moved in from New Mexico. So a truly dangerous storm here. High winds also likely with this storm as it continues to move to the east-southeast. Now we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of the Panhandle area, including the Oklahoma Panhandle and northern Texas. That'll be in effect until 3 a.m., so large hail and damaging winds likely with thunderstorms that form in this area. So this is the primary area of threat over the next couple of hours. The immediate problem, of course, in Texas County and around Guymon, around Texoma, with that severe thunderstorm located in that area. This thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:15 Central Time, or about the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. As for the rest of the area, I was going to say, we do have some thunderstorms over western Kansas, those non-severe, so some rain without hail or high winds in western Kansas. The rest of it's pretty much dry except for sprinkles over the northeast. We'll have to change that tomorrow as that system finally gets on the move. In the meantime, we were battling with mold spores today, almost 3,000 of those things per cubic meter of air, although that was down over 800 from yesterday, still quite a high amount. Grass pollen 19, tree pollen at 49, up only minor levels, so those not the problem that mold spores were. And across Kansas today, 88 the hot spot in Salina with 45 in Manhattan, 80 and 56 in Wichita. The forecast from 10 o'clock last night, 70 and 54. Still quite mild across the metro area with 66 at Wichita and 68 at Hutch, and across the rest of central and eastern Kansas. You certainly won't feel cool out there, even a short sleeve shirt, 73 in Salina, mostly mid to upper 60s with 73 at Enid. Out west, 64 at Colby, 60 at Garden City, 65 at Dodge and Liberal. Still pretty humid out there. 68% of the relative humidity with a dew point of 55. More moisture coming up on south to southeast winds across most of the state. That means more thunderstorms for tomorrow, but this time central Kansas will also get some. Tornadoes and severe weather possible in this area. Isolated severe storms possible for parts of central and western Kansas and the panhandles tomorrow. So watch out for those, and here's the forecast for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll call for partly cloudy skies. Thunderstorms staying to the southwest. Lows in the low to mid-50s, so mild, up to the low to mid-70s by noon under partly cloudy skies. Thunderstorms moving in from the southwest tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Highs in the low to mid-70s. The 5 days says if you like rain, you'll like the next 5 days. A good chance of thunderstorms with heavy rain right through the 5-day period, especially on Thursday and Friday. Temperatures. Well, not much chance of heavy rain overnight for most of us, but still a good chance of tornadoes with thunderstorms out to the west. Isn't that the way things usually go around here? Western boundary of the watch runs from Oberlin down through Waukene and Scott City toward Elkhart, then from Elkhart through Liberal over to Coldwater along the Oklahoma line, then back up through Great Bend, Russell, and Mankato, and back over to Oberlin. This watch in effect until 11 Central Time tonight, and if you live in or near this area, it means that severe thunderstorms with tornadoes, hail up to baseball size, and straight line winds up to 85 miles per hour are possible, so you should know a safe place to go should those storms pop up. Now, right now, Garden City radar doesn't show any storm activity at all over western Kansas. Just ground clutter out here, so temporarily at least a comforting picture, but we do have some ominous weather features on our surface map. First of all, a warm front that flew across the state this morning. Lots of moist, humid air across most of the state, but over here in Colorado, dry air coming down from the mountains, turning this trough of low pressure into the dreaded dry line, a feature that often sets off severe thunderstorms. Basically, there's a possibility a few storms might pop up along this line, turn severe, and then drift east further deep into the watch area. So tonight we'll expect the possibility of a few isolated severe storms out over western Kansas. Mainly a few light showers possible overnight in central Kansas, only isolated though. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies and mild temperatures, and not a whole lot of a chance to add on to our rainfall figures here, which is too bad because we're slipping down below an inch and a half below for the year already in spite of last week's abundant rainfall. Basically, the only hope for rain for central and eastern Kansas, a weak disturbance down around El Paso, Texas, that'll be sliding overhead overnight, but basically it's not strong enough to trigger off anything but isolated showers and some cloud cover, so don't expect a whole lot from that. The main storm is back here in Montana, 2 inches of snow in Cutbank, Montana, but it's going to have to move closer to us to increase our chances of rain. That'll happen later in the week. In the meantime, across Wichita, 96 and 39 the records. Normals getting up to 81 now for the high and 59 for the low. Today we were at 91 and 64. The forecast a bit cool at 85 and 60, but not too far off there. And across the metro area at 5 o'clock, it's 90 in Wichita, 91 at Hutch, and it's either upper 80s or low 90s with 93 in Wellington, the hot spot, and across the rest of central and eastern Kansas. Reporting in at 5 o'clock, Russell with 94, Salina with 90. Cooler in the east with 84 at Chanute and Emporia, but 94 again at Medicine Lodge and out to the west. 97 in Colby, twin 94s at Garden City and Dodge City. Elkhart looking comparatively good at 89 degrees, and at the airport, dew point up into the 60s. It's humid out there, wind out of the south at 26, gusting to 37. Those south winds across the state bringing up more moisture and humid unstable air from the Gulf of Mexico. So we will continue to have a chance of scattered thunder showers in the afternoons with this trough along western Kansas. Otherwise, through Memorial Day, not much of a chance of precipitation, but the wind will sure be blowing out there. Look for gusts of 40 or 45 across the state. And once again, an isolated shower or two across western Kansas late tomorrow afternoon. For the rest of us, though, partly cloudy to cloudy skies, but little rain, hot and humid. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas this evening, partly cloudy skies and warm, dropping down to only the mid to upper 70s by midnight. Winds still cranking along at 15 to 30 out of the south. That'll continue all night long, possibly veering to the southwest. Lows upper 60s to low 70s, an isolated shower, but not a whole lot of that. Then tomorrow morning, another isolated shower possible, but basically not much rain. Mostly just cloudy skies and up to the low 80s by noon. And tomorrow afternoon, with winds continuing to crank along out of the south-southwest at 20 to 40, high temperatures for the most part in the lower 90s. So partly cloudy to cloudy, humid and hot and windy for Memorial Day. Megan?
Well, it doesn't sound like lots of fun there. What was it?
Tonight the voyage continues into the unknown.
She's firing. Evasive course. Firing again.
The conclusion of Earth. The American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Well, for the time being, for better or worse, the thunderstorms are over. They've moved on to the east to plague the area from East Texas through Arkansas, up into the Midwest along Illinois and Indiana. Some heavy and severe thunderstorms mixed in with that large area of rainfall as well. We're even losing some of our cloud cover, especially over northern and western Kansas. The last heavy clouds left over south central and eastern Kansas down into Oklahoma. Those will be moving out through the evening hours, so we may even get a few breaks in the clouds statewide, in spite of the fact that more severe storms are popping up down here around Lubbock, Texas. Some of those will drift into our area later on tonight and toward tomorrow morning, probably not severe when they arrive in the area, and that will be our next chance of rainfall. But in the meantime, it's over for better or for worse. And there was some good news, especially with the rainfall. We've had over an inch so far this week, so we're ahead for the week. We're a little behind for the month, but the month just started, so that's really not too significant. And we're only an inch behind for the year. We haven't really been that close in a long, long time. Wichita with over an inch of rainfall. Emporia did pretty good as well, as did Medicine Lodge down through Chanute and Ponca City. Out to the west and north, not as heavy, only a few places with traces. Salina, Goodland, and Guyman in the Panhandle, hardly any rain at all. About a quarter inch at Concordia, Russell, and Garden City, and up through Hill City. So generally light out through the north and west. The south central and eastern parts of the state down into Oklahoma, the beneficiaries of the heavy rain, but also the areas that receive the brunt of the severe weather in the form of charming little items like funnel clouds, marble to golf ball size hail, and high straight line winds generally in this area of south central Kansas or up around Emporia. So Emporia and the Wichita area generally footed the bill, at least as far as the severe weather is concerned. Now in Wichita today, records are 49 and way up to 99. That was set in 85 just 4 years ago. Normals more moderate at 83 and 60. We were below normal on the high today at 72 after a normal low of 60. The forecast pretty close at 75 and 63. And across the metro area at 6 o'clock it's 71. In Wichita was 73 at Hutch, low to mid-70s across the metro and most of central and eastern Kansas. Russell reporting in at 72 with Salina at 73. Pratt also at 73 with Ponca City at 74. Colby at 75. Cool in Garden City with 62 and Dodge at 68, but Liberal, a more common 71 degrees. And at the airport, still some moisture left in the air with a dew point of around 62 degrees. That will lend itself to more storms as soon as the activity kicks up again, and I think we can count on that because we have a front down to the south. And with its cold air, although it's moving south now, it should come back to the north tomorrow and help trigger off some more storms. So look for more thunderstorms, some of them severe, with heavy rain across the area tomorrow. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas this evening, hardly any showers at all. In fact, only a few sprinkles over in far eastern Kansas, down in north central Oklahoma, over toward northwest Oklahoma. Temperatures dropping down to the low to mid-60s. Still fairly cloudy, especially down toward the south and the east with light winds. Winds are going to be light for the next couple of days, by the way. The windiness has stopped for the time being. Overnight, some fog likely through northern Kansas and perhaps out to the west. More showers moving up from the southwest towards sunrise as temperatures drop down to the mid-50s, up around Hays and Salina to low to mid-60s from Wichita and south into north central Oklahoma. Tomorrow morning, the thunderstorms moving in force as temperatures rise back through 70 with light southeast winds. And tomorrow afternoon, they'll continue most of the day. Then toward the end, we've already had some rain in unequal amounts in the characteristic manner of thunderstorms out to the west. In Guyman, about a third of an inch. Dodge City, only 200ths, but we'll try to make up for that over the next day or so. 2200ths in Garden City and over half an inch in Russell. Salina, over an inch of rain over the past 24 hours. Hutch, almost an inch, over a half inch in Wichita. And Concordia, Topeka, a little short over the last 24 hours, but Ponca City, the better part of a half an inch. And more on the way, courtesy of the jet stream disturbance we now have off to the southwest, moving through New Mexico into the Texas Panhandle. Over the next 24 hours, it is due to swing right up our way, and that should really cause the rains to rev up across our area. In fact, very heavy rain is possible over the next day and a half over all of Kansas and northern Oklahoma. Indeed, some possibility of flash flooding is not out of the question. What a heck of a way to end a drought. This could deal a real knockout blow to the drought, and maybe also to the mold spores, which a couple of days of intermittent rainfall have been unable to purge from the atmosphere. Still over 1,000 per cubic meter of air on the mold spore count. We'd like to get that down about as low as the tree pollen and grass pollen, which are down to rock bottom zero right now. It'd be kind of nice. And we've got some more rain outside that might be able to do it if it could ever kind of move this way. It's been stuck down in northern Oklahoma for about 8 hours now. Just can't seem to get across the state line, although later on tonight it should finally cross and start to move northeast into Kansas, spreading not only across western Kansas, but the central part of the state as well. Right now it's just kind of sitting there as the individual storm cells try to move farther east. The basic strong part of the storm still out to the west on the satellite picture. It's stuck over New Mexico with that jet stream disturbance. You can see the buildup from Colorado all the way down to West Texas. Lots of severe weather. Large hail fell throughout Denver today. Down in central Texas and western Oklahoma, a lot of severe weather. Large hail in Oklahoma and around Lubbock and Amarillo. 3 tornadoes, at least 3 this afternoon and early this evening, just to the south of our area. So pretty wild weather down there. Meanwhile, back in Kansas, the range was 50 at Goodland to 80 at Topeka, Lawrence, and Manhattan. In Wichita today, 73 and 59. My forecast, not as good as I like to see it at 80 and 67, but the nice thing about this profession is you can always try again the next day, provided you aren't strung up in the meantime. And across the metro area right now, it's 68 in Wichita and 70 at Hutch. Relatively cool, and that has helped keep down the possibility of severe weather this afternoon across Kansas and Oklahoma. 66 in Russell with 68 at Pratt, 70 at Chanute. Out to the west, about the same with 66 at Colby, 62 at Dodge and Garden City, 63 at Liberal. At the airport, Dew Point, though, still at 63 degrees, and winds coming back around to the south might warm us up a little bit, so still some severe weather threat, although for the moment the front is to the south, and today has been our shield against severe weather with the cooler temperatures to the north. Now tomorrow it will move a bit farther north, although not too far. We'll also get a lot of wind right off the Gulf wrapping around a strong low pressure. That will also help dump the rain as the jet stream disturbance lowers the pressure right here. So look for a lot of thunderstorms across the area and rain. It should help deal a knockout blow to that drought. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas overnight, we'll see the rain and thunderstorms moving in from the southwest. Temperatures down in the 50s and low 60s, so cool tonight, a little cooler than we have been. Tomorrow morning, not much temperature rise under cloudy skies with scattered showers continuing. Then more activity moving in the afternoon, including thunderstorms. Highs in the low to mid 60s in Kansas, around 70 in north central Oklahoma. We'll still have some rain lingering Monday morning, but breaking up Monday afternoon. Sunny to sunny, partly cloudy on Tuesday with nice temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday. If you don't really feel like going out yesterday and actually checking out the severe weather in person, we can help you out this evening. Yesterday, the tornado started, or funnel cloud over Wichita started with a wall cloud, a lowering of the cloud base south of Wichita. Mike Phelps, one of our storm chasers here at KAKE TV, took these shots. Here is the funnel cloud coming out of one edge of the wall cloud. This whole big conical area, the funnel cloud, the whole thing rotating, that's a nice big funnel cloud, and it's very close to touching down. If it had touched down, it would have been one of the larger tornadoes we've had in the past couple of decades. So just a hair yesterday in the Wichita area from a real tornado disaster. Now, what most of us got instead was simply rainfall. In Medford County, radar estimated rainfall totals around here in Grant County and around Medford of over 10 inches there. The drought's simply over for that area. For this area here, 1 to 8 inches, and for most of northern and western Kansas, under an inch, so still a little dry here, but here are some of the heavier totals. Coffeyville, over 7 inches. Some other totals, Hale, over 6 inches, almost 7 inches. Some other towns, Heston and Bremen, over 5 inches each. Number of places over 4 to 5 inches, including Sedan, Cedarvale, Bartlett, McCune, and our Kansas City. And in between 3 to 4 inches, a large scattering areas across south central and southeastern Kansas, including Wichita, Attica, Bluff City, Cambridge, Hillsboro, Longton, Peabody, Rock, and Walnut. These are 24-hour rainfall totals, and we're looking real nice on the rainfall board at the present time, mainly because we're over 3 inches ahead now for the month and for the year. Folks, the drought, if it's not broken in your area, at least over southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma, is on the way out. We're way ahead for the month and the year, and we're doing just fine, except for the soggy ground confronting the wheat harvest out there. Now, what rain we got yesterday was due to this bump in the jet stream now moving out. We've got another one causing more storms moving in from the southwest. That's why on KAKE radar, all we have are some showers up over the Topeka area moving toward Missouri right now, and nothing over central Kansas. And we have to look all the way to the west through the Garden City National Weather Service radar to pick up our other showers down in the Oklahoma Panhandle, through the eastern Colorado area, and down into the Texas Panhandle. These moving east to southeast at around 20 to 30 miles per hour closer to western Kansas. We can see them a little bit more easily on the satellite picture, kind of popping up here along eastern Colorado and eastern New Mexico. Some of those will be moving east later on. For that reason, we have a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 for the panhandles. And in case any of those make it farther east, a flash flood watch for most of south central and southeastern Kansas through the rest of the night. Flash flooding possible in those areas. Otherwise, around the Wichita area, 104 and 47 for records in Wichita today. 86 and 63 normals. We were a little below normal, 80 and 63. I was forecasting a little warm at 87 and 67. At 5 o'clock across the metro area, 79 in Wichita, 80 in Hutch. Fairly warm and fairly humid out there. Central and eastern Kansas, mostly 70s and 80s as well, including 77 at Salina and Russell with 85 at Medicine Lodge, 85 in Colby with 84 in Hill City, upper 70s, low to mid 80s across southwestern Kansas. Still humid out there with a dew point of 66. The moisture is in the air for fuel for thunderstorms. Well, it's not hard to tell where that upper level high pressure is right now, right over Kansas, where Marty so erroneously remarked that we don't have any weather. The showers all around the area, it seems like over most of the rest of the country. Most of these showers just running in a big circular pattern, but these down here are determined to penetrate that upper level high pressure, and they will bring us some light to moderate shower activity later on tomorrow. Right now on KAKE radars, those showers move up from the south. We have one shower to the northeast of Tulsa, this one moving northeast at 15 miles per hour, and the National Weather Service radar out of Amarillo, Texas, shows some more showers running up the Texas Panhandle, New Mexico line, moving to the north about 10 miles per hour. Some of these showers will be approaching on our evening forecast the state line along the southern border of Kansas and the Oklahoma Panhandle as sprinkles before they die out later on tonight and leave the whole area with mostly clear skies. But tomorrow they'll pop back up again and give us at least some isolated here and there thunderstorm activity. In the meantime, we have to deal with the temperatures, and those were the real problem today in Wichita. 71 for the morning low, 93 for the afternoon high after a forecast from yesterday at 92 and 68. Right now across the metro area, it's anything but comfortable. 91 at Wichita, but 94 at Hutchinson and Newton. 95 the hot spot at 5 o'clock at Wellington. Across central and eastern Kansas, move up north, it's no better. Russell at 94, Salina at 95, Medicine Lodge at 96. Out to the west, the hot spot once again in northwest Kansas, 100 even at Colby and Hill City. Surprisingly, the cool spot, southwest Kansas, low 90s at Garden City and Dodge City. And at the airport, in addition to the heat, as we have for the past couple of days, we've also had to put up with a lot of humidity. Dew point up to 68 means temperatures in the 90s are not going to feel too good out there, especially if you happen to be dressed like this. That's why I'm staying inside with the air conditioning overnight tonight. Now for tonight, we'll expect temperatures to drop down to the 60s along some of the western border areas and the western panhandle, but the rest of us will see low 70s for a very mild overnight low temperature, and that will allow the temperature to build quickly back up into the 90s for tomorrow. For all of us, one big change in this temperature map, no 100s for northwest Kansas. The air will be too moist for that. Tomorrow afternoon, only 90s, but with the additional humidity, it's not going to feel much different. 90s and humid air means rather uncomfortable temperatures out there, and it'd be nice if we could get this front to the north and the cooler air behind it down our way, but it's a window shade front, so it'll just kind of flap back up to the north tomorrow, leaving us in that hot, humid air. Sunny to partly cloudy skies for the most part. Some isolated showers tomorrow afternoon over central and eastern Kansas. Scattered showers out west along this weak zone of low pressure. A few of those may possibly be severe with some straight line winds. And otherwise around the country, if you're traveling, the weather looks like showers along the northern borders through the Great Lakes in the northeast. More showers through the southeast and Florida. Some desert showers in Arizona persisting and through New Mexico. Our showers and through Utah and out to California looks like mostly sunny. Now here's the forecast for your local area. For central Kansas this evening, a few sprinkles possible along the northeastern border areas of Oklahoma, southeastern border of Kansas, partly cloudy down through Ponca City and Enid. Otherwise, mostly clear. Temperatures dropping to only around 80 degrees by midnight. And we'll take the rest of the night just to cool off another 6 or 7 degrees down to the low to mid 70s. South winds continuing at 10 to 20 with mostly clear skies, and tomorrow morning mostly sunny. South to southwest winds picking up in speed quite a bit. Temperatures up to the mid to upper 80s by only noon. We'll top out tomorrow with humid, low 90s it looks like, a degree or two lower than today, but you won't be able to feel the difference because of the added humidity, and expect some isolated showers here and there, meaning most of us will stay dry, but you may be able to see a shower or two if you look around tomorrow afternoon.
The presentation has the American Meteorological Society's seal of approval.
Did you ever have one of those days when you felt like this guy looks a little sluggish and maybe a little dispirited? I did this morning when I saw all those low clouds outside. They weren't supposed to get quite as far south as Wichita, but later on, as you can see by the reflected sky conditions on this pond, the clouds did break up at least over most of southern Kansas, and my mood improved. But we do have potential trouble out west, courtesy in part of this high pressure, which is spreading moist air up the slope to the high plains against the front range of the Rockies. That's why we have a tornado watch from southeastern Wyoming through part of the Nebraska Panhandle right down into northeast and east central Colorado. In our eastern Colorado viewing area, the watch does go as far south as Kiowa County in east central Colorado. It includes the towns of Sheridan Lake, Cheyenne Wells, Burlington right on the edge of this watch, and Ray just east of the eastern boundary. This watch in effect until 9 tonight Mountain Time, and that means that severe thunderstorms with large hail and damaging winds and tornadoes are possible in that area up through about that time. And we'll take a look at National Weather Service radar out in Lyman, Colorado. Not showing a whole lot right now except for ground clutter right around Lyman. Some light showers developing up around Fort Collins right now. Some other ones down far to the south out of the watch area northeast of Raton, New Mexico. These all moving slowly east, but we are expecting some more development in this area, in the formal watch area later on. Now, it's not going to get far enough east to affect a lot of us. Central and eastern Kansas, no thunderstorms tonight, mainly some low clouds and fog developing that will dissipate again later tomorrow morning. There's a possibility that some of the showers could get as far east as western Kansas, but it's kind of an iffy situation because although some factors are favorable for those storms to move east, including the higher speed of the jet stream winds as opposed to a couple of days ago, the jet stream disturbance that would really rev these things up is still over western Colorado. It really won't drift into western Kansas until later tomorrow morning. That may be too late to move the showers further east in the western border. We may have to wait till tomorrow for those showers to spread into western Kansas and then the central and eastern parts of the state. So showers along the western border, a little on the iffy side tonight, also because we've had some persistent cloud cover across northern and northwestern Kansas. That's helped lower the temperatures, keep the temperatures in the air a little bit more stable than they would otherwise be. Temperatures in Wichita today, 83 for the high, 65 for the low. Close in the low, 4 degrees off in the high from last night's forecast at 5:30. And across the metro area at 5 o'clock, it's 83 in Wichita and Hutchinson, 87 the warm spot at 5 o'clock at Wellington. Central and eastern Kansas reporting in with 75 at Russell and 80 at Salina. Medicine Lodge fairly warm at 87. Out west, it's 77 in Colby and 75 in Hill City. 70s in Garden City, but still fairly warm in Elkhart at 88 degrees. And at the airport, Dew Point still fairly high at 65 degrees. That will help rev up those thunderstorms tomorrow. For the moment, most of the thunderstorms in the country are off along the southeast, Florida, or up the east coast, some around the Great Lakes, and some up here off to our west. Here's our next disturbance moving in, and as that moves in, we can expect a lower level system to develop right across central and eastern Kansas that will be pulling moisture up into the area. And with the jet stream wave and disturbance swinging down overhead and those jet stream winds revving up aloft tomorrow, that means it looks like we're going to have a lot of thunderstorms, especially for central and eastern Kansas, and many of those thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening are likely to be severe with the possibility of tornadoes. Western Kansas looks like a sunny day tomorrow, but for the rest of us, look out. Looks like a mean weather day for us. Here's the forecast now for your local area. For central Kansas this evening, mostly cloudy up to the north, partly cloudy, then clear down to the south. Lows around 70 by midnight, dropping down to the mid to upper 60s overnight. Mostly cloudy skies with patchy fog developing. That'll burn off later tomorrow morning, going back to partly cloudy skies and up to around 75 or 80 by noon. Then tomorrow afternoon, as all the factors come together, expect thunderstorms to break out, first in west central Kansas, then moving farther east. Some of those thunderstorms are very likely to be severe, especially with high temperatures getting up into the mid to upper 80s, destabilizing that air. The latter part of the week, fortunately, looks a little calmer, but tomorrow... Well, this kind of chart presents something of a forecast problem because you have to figure out why all these showers are occurring, and there are usually several different reasons mixed in there. So let's have at it. Across the east, just unstable air mass showers there, especially down over the Florida Peninsula. Out through the Rocky Mountains, kind of monsoon-type flow coming up from Mexico across those states. And then we have a weak upper air disturbance kind of centered right over Kansas, and that's the result of our showers today. Now, it kind of destabilized the air mass, brought a lot of moisture into the area. As a matter of fact, this morning about the lower 5 miles of air over Kansas and North Oklahoma were just loaded with moisture. So after sunrise, when the sun's rays came down, heated up the ground, caused some updrafts, the first thing we got were some big cumulus clouds that turned rapidly into some rain showers with some pretty heavy rain. Here's what they look like when they were building up a little earlier. This is looking southeast from Wichita toward Winfield. These showers just to the north of Winfield. Here's one mature shower here with rain coming out the bottom. Here's some more bubbles of warm air kind of rising up that will continue the shower activity over about the next half hour. And that caused a little bit of trouble, especially some puddles out at the Sedgwick County Fair. So folks out there had a little bit of rain dodging to do this afternoon. But if you have the proper frame of mind, this really isn't a problem. Think back to when you were a kid. Wasn't it a lot of fun to do this? In fact, that was more fun even on a good weather day, do this kind of thing. Those folks were having fun anyway, so there's good in any weather situation. With the heavy rain, though, we did have some rainfall totals. 1.15 in Kingman this afternoon, ½ inch in Augusta. Over in Toronto and eastern Kansas, about an inch in about 20 minutes. So pretty heavy rainfall in some places. And it's also possible with these showers, although they're weak and can't cause tornadoes, to have a very quick, rapid downdraft and get some high winds. Winds hit 75 at the Fort Smith Airport this afternoon and 40 to 50 at Perry Lake in northeastern Kansas, but no high winds reported aside from that. So we got off fairly lightly as far as severe weather and possible flooding due to heavy rain. KAKE radar shows about the only shower we have left in Kansas right now is just east of Winfield, another one northeast of Kansas City. These very light and decreasing now. Another one over here about to die just northeast of Chanute. That's about it. National Weather Service radar out in Goodland shows no shower activity at all. Nothing except ground clutter around Goodland. So it's just about over for the night. So really, we'll expect maybe a sprinkle or two over central and eastern Kansas. Otherwise, clear to partly cloudy tonight. The bulk of the showers waiting till tomorrow. Really, we'll have more mold spores than anything to put up with tonight, but not as many as last night. Today's count 501, down by over 800 from yesterday. Dew point still at 64, though, so maybe some patchy fog later on tonight, especially where the sky clears out. High in Wichita today, 82 after a low of 62. State high 88 in Hill City, 52 in Goodland for the morning low. And right now, it's dropped back down into the 60s and 70s with 72 at Salina and Hutch, 71 at Wichita and Pratt. Out west, we're looking at 73 at Colby, 60s at Garden City and Dodge, 73 at Liberal. And by tomorrow morning, partly cloudy skies, more showers for the central and east and far west tomorrow afternoon. And around the country, showers to the Rockies, lots more in the east. Now here's the forecast for your local area for the rest of the 24-hour period. First of all, overnight, not too much shower activity, just a sprinkle or two, otherwise partly cloudy. Maybe some patchy fog down to the low 60s for lows, then up to the upper 70s or around 80 by noon under partly cloudy skies, light southeast winds. More showers popping out tomorrow afternoon, much like today. Highs a little warmer because there won't be quite as many showers. Look for highs in the low to mid-80s. For Tuesday, we'll expect a few showers left over, but after that, a drying trend with a little bit less cloud cover. As a result, the high temperatures get up toward Jim.
Not at all. That would be the time that I would pick to go on vacation there, right?
You both, right? You, me, 100 people, and Hurricane Dean.
Lots of the thunderstorm activity that is over southwestern Kansas has moved, and now it's in Texas. And we'll come back and show you where, and also in Oklahoma.
Society's seal of approval.
Well, those thunderstorms drifted over the southwestern part of Kansas. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in the southwest. But when it went through Dodge City, there was practically no rain. They just wound up with about 0.02 of an inch. However, just south of Dodge City, they wound up with about 3 to 4 inches of rain. And that was more or less the pattern as it moved on into Oklahoma, with quite a few counties, Harper County, for instance, and then southward into Oklahoma, areas with heavy, heavy rains and still having quite a bit of flood activity associated with that in those counties. They picked up anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain. Pretty much the same story for the Texas Panhandle. Thunderstorm warnings have been going on all evening as the line of thunderstorms went through that area. And now that the thunderstorms have moved on by, they have the flash flood advisories in effect also. Let's take a look at what's going to be happening tonight. That cool air is going to be moving down over the state. That will push the thunderstorm activity to the south and also to the west. So it looks like we should have relatively cool temperatures. And if we look at those, the overnight low temperatures, mostly in the 50s across the state. But from Wichita to about Harper County southward, it looks like we'll have temperatures in the 60s. High temperatures today in Wichita was 88 degrees. Early morning low was 70, pretty close to our forecast from last night. State high was 92 at Liberal, and the early morning low temperature was 55 at Hill City. Currently, we have mostly mid to high 70s over south central Kansas with partly cloudy skies. Now, most of those clouds came off the top of those thunderstorms, so those will be moving by, and we'll see just thin layers for the rest of the night through the early morning hours. At the airport, humidity in the mid-range, the dew point in the 60-plus range, northeasterly winds at about 15 miles an hour. At 10 o'clock, we're looking at 60s and 70s across the state, relatively pleasant temperatures for this time of year. And in the western part of Kansas, the Colby area already down to 61 degrees. We have 60s over all of the west, so temperatures will be dropping even lower than that tonight as that cold air mass moves on in. That will feel pretty good. We'll probably be able to open some of the windows around the area. And overnight low temperatures, zero. I'm thinking about temperatures. We had nothing in the way of ragweed, but we went up on the mold spores. We also went up quite a bit, 124 on the pigweed and Russian thistle. Now, this is the little tiny trough right here that set off all that pattern of heavy thunderstorm activity over the west. And, of course, that is drifting eastward. This part of the ridge is going to be going to the north, and that's going to help bring cooler air into this region. So tomorrow we're going to look for 70s over much of the west and central part of the state and 80s over a small portion of the southeast. Now, that will be associated with the massive high-pressure ridge that will bring that cooler air to much of the eastern half of the U.S., with the thunderstorms more or less hanging around the edge of that cooler air mass. And, of course, we are going to look at the forecast for your local area tonight. Partly cloudy and cooler. Overnight low temperature in Wichita, 60. In the north and west, temperature should be in the 50s. Early tomorrow morning, partly cloudy and cool once again. Noontime temperature right around 70 degrees, but still in the 60s off to the northwest. Tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy and mild, 80 in the Wichita area with mid-70s to the northwest, and should be just a beautiful day tomorrow. For Tuesday morning, cooler air pretty much spreading over the area. Those rain showers and thunder showers once again right along the Gulf Coast, and possibly some building up into western sections of Texas once again. And the 5-day outlook shows partly cloudy skies. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, a chance of thunderstorm activity as that warm air comes back up into the area. But take a look at those temperatures, mostly in the 70s and 80s. Just about as nice a week as you can have. Marty?
You betcha. Thank you, Jim.
Well, we're going down. The other day it was up to around 70. A lot of moisture in